Well, today is the day. I hope y'all had a blessed election day today for all of y'all that are going to participate in it. There's been a lot of news going on. As far as the election and what's going on over here, let me start here first. I usually start with the war because that's the most important thing because it's biblical in nature, but everything's biblical. So let me start with the election. There's been a lot of violent threats going on. They said that the Proud Boys have threatened that they're going to guard a lot of the polls. They're going to show up at a lot of the polls and stand around and intimidate people. But there was before the polls opened up, I think this was yesterday, they arrested a young man in Nashville. It might have been a few days ago. I believe it was yesterday. But they arrested a young man in Nashville who was a white supremacist. And he had a bomb. And he was going to blow up a power plant in Nashville. So he had been casing out some places. And he was going to blow up something in either Louisville or Nashville. But I don't know what made him decide on the power plant. They said something about in the report that he wanted to attack the power grid. And his motive for doing this is that he wanted to incite a civil war, accelerate everything so that a civil war can break out. They said he has white nationalist ties. They said that his social media, he had a manifesto. This one had a manifesto. Luckily, they caught him. But he was going to hit the power grid, and they said it would have knocked out power for about 45,000 people in that area. So it wasn't going to be a major hit. It still was going to be, it still qualifies as domestic terrorism. They said he got charged with having a weapon of mass destruction. He was going to blow up a power plant, but they caught him. The FBI agents worked with him. He was working with some undercover agents, and they arrested him before he could carry out his plan. So, yeah, they said I think his last name was Philippi, whatever, and he's a white nationalist. And he was going to kick off some stuff and probably try to make I think they said he was going to try to make Jews did it, or either it's going to make some terrorists did it, Muslims or something did it. He's going to blame, it was going to be a false flag, but he was going to do it to incite civil unrest here in America. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy. Then there was a hoax bomb threat that the Pentagon is saying Russia did it. They said it was straight up Russia did that. They traced the calls back to Russia to blow up some polls in Georgia. Because I guess Georgia is the place that's prosecuting Trump for the election interference. Ooh, it's getting cold. Turn this heat on. But yeah, there's a couple of bomb threats today at the polls in Georgia. Then there's something else happening. We got the Proud Boys. The boy that's gonna blow up the power plant in Nashville, and then the Georgia threats from Russia. So the day is not even over yet, and the results are not even in. So I don't know who's going to win this thing, y'all. I have a feeling that I believe Trump is going to win it. They're going to Trump is going to win it because, like I told y'all, we live in a very racist country. We live in a very America is an extremely racist, white supremacist country. And before a lot of them see Kamala Harris win this election, they will vote for Trump against their own interest. These poor white people, Trump don't care nothing about none of them. He looks down on them, call them ugly, call them stupid, call them all kind of things. They still go right to that poll, check that box, vote him right up in there. He don't care nothing about the people. He might pardon the insurrectionists when he get in there, but he still don't care nothing about them. They said in the reports, it said he talked about how ugly they are and stuff, and how stupid the Republicans are and stuff. But some of the Republicans, I don't know. They want to dust their hands off the Trump in their party. So I don't know. But that's why a lot of them are voting against Trump, because the Republican parties want to be done, because once, if Trump loses this election, then they're done with him. They don't have to worry about him anymore. So a lot of them are secretly, and then some of them are outwardly saying they want to be done with Trump. Even that old Mitch McConnell, he said he want to be done with Trump. There's a few of them still riding with him, like that loony Marjorie Taylor Greene wench. But she just as loony as he is. But yeah, and I'm not taking sides, because Kamala and these crooked preachers and stuff backing her up too. All you got to do is just show up with a couple of celebrity mascots, like she did, like she's been doing. Show up with some celebrity mascots, give them a free show, give them some chicken dinners or something, and they all on board. They gonna tell their whole congregation, go vote for Kamala, even though she stand for all kind of stuff that go against the Bible. They gonna tell they people to go vote for Kamala. That's why I can't participate in none of it. That Bible said be separate from all this, just be set apart from this stuff. So that's why I don't want nothing to do with none of it. I am not of this world. I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world, period. But the day is almost, what time is it my time? It is 5:24 my time in Kansas City, Missouri. So the polls are going to be open for about another hour and a half. I don't know. Some of the states are going to get their results in later on tonight. Georgia said they will, and I think Michigan said they will have their results in. But I'm going to tell you, I think it's going to be Trump. I don't know why. I think it's going to be Trump because I told y'all Trump is one of the Antichrist. And he hasn't been given complete global power yet. But Trump is one of the Antichrists. He's just pretending to be Christian to pander to the evangelical voting bloc. But this man is the man of lawlessness. And he's going to win. I believe he's going to win. And it will be a very pleasant surprise. Well, not a pleasant surprise, but it would be a surprise to me. Well, it would be a pleasant surprise, because if Kamala wins, that means that this country is not as racist as I think it is, if Kamala wins. So it will be a pleasant surprise. But I don't know. I just think it's going to be Trump. These clouds are hanging low. It was dark, too. It's been raining all day because there's going to be a hurricane is forming. Hurricane Rafael is forming in the Gulf of Mexico. They said it's going to hit Cuba. As if Cuba needs another hurricane, natural disaster, or anything. They already had these power outages, and now they said Hurricane Rafael is forming in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's going to hit Cuba. What else? It's headed for Louisiana, I believe, if it forms. So they just said, it's probably going to touch down, or they're going to know more about it come tomorrow, but it's down there forming. That stuff that happened in Spain, that storm that happened in Spain, they're saying that it was a result of cloud seeding. I have a video that showed the clouds in Spain right before that flooding happened, and they said that they had been spraying the clouds, and they're saying that they think it was because of cloud seeding. But they had already said that it was because of human-caused climate. They've been manipulating the weather, put it like that. And man, if you saw, they had brand new Fords that had been loaded, just been transported from the plant. Brand new Fords just washing up, flooded out in the rain and stuff. But they said that cloud seeding is what caused that, because they messing with them clouds, they messing with the weather and stuff. And God, he's an almighty, amazing God, and he's like, hey, y'all want rain? I'm gonna give y'all rain. I'm gonna give y'all so much rain. I'm gonna overwhelm y'all with rain. And that's what he does, because they messing with that weather, and they trying to play him, trying to control that weather. Or he just let the devil bring it. I let the devil flood it. I let the devil send the earthquake, volcano eruptions, and all that stuff. So that's what happened. They said that happened with that flood in Spain, and it flooded 10 cities. So yeah, cloud seeding. That's the same thing they said that happened in Dubai, when Dubai flooded. Cloud seeding. But what else is happening, you guys? So Kamala and Trump gave their little stump speeches and everything, had their little celebrity mascots and stuff come out and performed. It's a dog and pony show, political dog and pony show. That's all it is. And And a lot of people were offended too with the celebrities coming out, because they're like, okay, especially with the African Americans. If y'all should have seen some of the feedback that is on some of these social media platforms about how they bringing these celebrities out, parade them around and stuff, and just insulting the intelligence of the voters. African Americans were genuinely offended, because you bring somebody out to twerk in front of these people and playing in their face like that, insulting their intelligence. Everybody ain't stupid. Everybody don't sit up and watch Love and Hip Hop and Housewives of Atlanta and Power and BMF, and everybody ain't watching that. Everybody really is paying attention to the news and the politics and things, because it affects our lives. So everybody ain't stuck on stupid. And they were very offended by these celebrities that these politicians paraded out on both sides, on Trump's side and Kamala's side. Y'all brought some of the most ignorant, degenerate celebrities out at y'all rallies. Y'all need to be, shame on y'all for that, both of y'all. But that's pretty much, what else is there going on that I can think of? Come on, people. Yeah, traffic is real heavy because people are leaving work and coming to these polls and stuff before it closes. Some of these last minute procrastinators are coming out here. But yeah, let me think, what else? There's a police officer got convicted of killing a young man. Well, not a young man, he was 47. His name was Andre Hill. And his police officer, 19-year veteran police officer, was convicted, found guilty of killing him, because the victim, Mr. Hill, unfortunately, was visiting a friend, and he was leaving the friend's house, and somebody had called the police about somebody starting a car and turning it on and off or something. And so when the police approached, it was this police officer who's been convicted and his partner, both of them Caucasian, of course. And he said something about Mr. Hill pulled out, well, he thought Mr. Hill's cell phone, which was lit up in his hand, and a pair of keys, he tried to say that he thought it was a steel-colored gun. And so he shot the man multiple times and killed him. They said this police officer had been written up numerous times and had been suspended from his job during the course of his career. He's had disciplinary problems. And so he said he's facing life in prison. What state was this in? I forgot. I want to say Minnesota. Might not have been. When I get back home, I'm going to look it over again. But yeah, he tried to claim that the man's cell phone and his keys were a gun, and to justify him killing him. And the jury didn't buy it. So I think he got convicted of murder. And prosecuting attorney, he gave a press conference. He said, yeah, we got 4 officers in this state that's going up for trial for killing unarmed citizens. And he said, that's 1 down. He said, I got 3 to go. They said he didn't have his, that's the thing that probably got him. He did not have his camera on. That was the thing that got him. They said that he violated police policy and procedures because he did not have that body cam on. So, they up to no good when they don't have that body camera on. So, yeah, they convicted him, and he's going to be sentenced, they said, November 25th. They said he had also been diagnosed with cancer, some form of Hodgkin's lymphoma. They said, so he had hip replacement surgery, and he's been diagnosed with cancer. So, see, these people think that they can do this stuff and get away with it, but hey, you get by, but you don't get away. That's what my mom used to always say. You get by with stuff for a long time, but then sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Ain't that what Johnny Cash said? But yeah, that's about all that I could think of. Netanyahu fired his Minister of Defense too. What's his name? Yoav Gallant. He fired him. He got rid of him because they think he was a mole. They said Netanyahu didn't trust him because he was saying stuff that was going against Netanyahu's actions. And he was talking against Netanyahu, and Netanyahu just, it's getting too hot now. Netanyahu said he just didn't have no confidence and trust in this man, so he got rid of him, which is right. That's the right thing to do. So now in Israel, they are protesting in the streets, y'all, testifying. No, not testifying. They're protesting in the street. They're protesting in the street against Netanyahu getting rid of Gallant. Now, what they do not understand is that Iran has already said that they're going to attack Israel at any minute now. And all of these people, it looked like about 500 million people in the street protesting in Israel. This is the perfect time to strike. They said that they got they said Iran is going to hit Israel with 400 missiles, something like that, hundreds of missiles, and they out in the street protesting Benjamin Netanyahu. They're going to get themselves killed. So it's going to be a lot going on. This is going to be a very tumultuous, eventful week. So everybody just keep watch, stay alert, and I will see y'all when I get back home. God bless ya. Let me get on because it's getting dark. Peace.
Back to that breaking news out of the Middle East. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has just announced the firing of his Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant. We just got a response from the Gallant's office saying the security of the state of Israel always was and will always remain my life's mission, close quote. That is from Yoav Gallant's office. Minister Katz has now been appointed in his place. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams is here for more. Holly, walk us through the importance, the significance of this. We've heard Yoav Gallant's name mentioned many, many times. Now he's out.
Hey there, Reed. Well, this move by Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu certainly does not come as a total surprise. There has been speculation that this could happen for months here. Netanyahu's relationship with the now former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has long been difficult, and during the Israel-Hamas war, they have been at odds over this country's goals. In recent months, Israeli media has reported that Gallant called Netanyahu's stated goal of total victory over Hamas nonsense, and even wrote to Netanyahu saying the war was being waged, quote, without a compass. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu leads a complicated and sometimes fractious coalition government. Firing Gallant may be helpful in that respect, but will anger many others here in Israel, especially those who accuse the government of not doing enough to bring the remaining hostages home from Gaza. In a statement, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that trust had broken down between the two men. Gallant has been replaced by Israel Katz, who is already a member of the cabinet. Reed.
Holly Williams, thank you so much for that live report. This could have far-reaching implications in Israel's war in Gaza and also its offensive in Lebanon. Thank you very much for that.
Welcome back. There is a big focus on security at the polls this election day as federal and local law enforcement officials prepare for the possibility of political violence.
In Washington, D.C., the U.S. Capitol Police said that they arrested a man who was stopped during a screening at the Capitol Visitor Center. They said he smelled like fuel and had a torch and flare gun. Joining us now, NBC News law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter. So, Tom, tell us the latest on that and other potential threats that officials are tracking today.
Right, Sinclair. So the Capitol Police are out with a statement saying they arrested a man just a short time ago at the Capitol Visitor Center. This is where you would go if you wanted to go on a tour or have to visit somebody at Congress. They said the man smelled like fuel, had a torch and a flare gun. Now, they've closed the CVC for tours for the day, and they're going to continue this investigation. We're working on a name and an identification and why this individual was there and why this person had those things on them. So that's an active and ongoing investigation and a statement. And we just received some information from the FBI as well that there were a number of bomb threats that were phoned into polling places in Georgia. They say that those bomb threats came from email addresses or from locations associated with a Russian domain name. So that's where it's coming from. Of course, important to note that just because it has a Russian domain name, sometimes that can be spoofed or somebody can use that fictitiously. So perhaps it's coming from somewhere else. But these are all active threats and things that we're looking at across the country at the moment.
All right. Tom Winter checking all that for us. Tom, thank you.
Sure thing.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Karis, an important part of the story and one that Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger just addressed in his update about 15 minutes ago. He said that those threats in Fulton County, they believe, are connected to a Russian hoax. And the secretary emphasized that results in Georgia could come quickly because of a new law that requires all early votes and mail-in ballots to be counted 1 hour after polls close.
Most polls will be closing at 7 p.m., so by 8 p.m. you'll have probably 99% of all that. So that'll be uploaded. So you get a good idea of what the race looks like. Then all the voting that you're seeing today, before the end of the night, you'll have all of that. Many of the smaller counties are pushing to be done by 10:30 at the latest. But that's the type of response you're going to see in the smaller counties. But by the end of the night, you'll have all of those results.
And those results the country is watching as Georgia is a battleground state. 11 Alive's Savannah Levins was there for the full briefing. We'll have more from Savannah coming up at 11:30.
This way, sir.
The last day of advance voting in the southern swing state of Georgia after a record-shattering 4 million early voters, half the state's electorate.
Good to see you again.
Georgia Bulldogs superfan Deidre Holden is elections director here in Paulding County, outside of Atlanta.
I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've never seen a turnout like this for early voting.
And she's also never seen anything like this.
So the red buttons you see are panic buttons.
Desks for election workers are now equipped with panic buttons, which notify police. Staff carry Narcan nasal spray, which protects against opioid overdoses in case of a chemical attack. And this button triggers an alarm through the building.
But this is for an active shooter or bomb.
She's had bomb threats before, after the last presidential election.
And it was pretty much they were going to blow up all of my election day polling locations. They were coming after me, that they would do whatever they had to do to show this world how wrong our election was in 2020. I never thought we would come to this.
The new security features include many new security cameras, including this one covering the hallway leading into the elections office. All of this is in response to the growing number of threats that followed false claims that the last presidential election was stolen.
This was a fraudulent election.
Georgia found itself at the center of that fight when Donald Trump phoned its Secretary of State.
I just want to find 11,780 votes.
Falsely claiming he'd won. 4 years and dozens of investigations later, that lie lives on.
There were problems with the 2020 vote. There's no question there were problems.
With suspicion on both sides.
Everybody is wary, let's say, of everything.
So now people have had 4 years to sort of marinate in that thought and hear these theories, and it's really escalated into threats.
This former homicide investigator and state elections director says police are playing a more active role.
Law enforcement wasn't trained in any of this stuff.
Georgia is now the first state to mandate election training for police.
This is actually a threat that I got.
Chris Harvey has also received threats, which posted his family's home address online.
And the message basically said, if this doesn't go well, we can have January 6th at everyone's house.
Have your photo IDs ready?
Indeed, more than the election itself, Holden fears what may come after.
You know, once those votes are in and the results are in, that's when I'm going to be worried.
Election workers hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. Jeff Semple, Global News, Dallas, Georgia.
Crime now, and Columbia man's hate-fueled plot to take down Nashville's power grid single-handedly, somehow infiltrated by the FBI, and ends as he was about to begin his attack with a bomb-laden drone. Everything I just said true. His end game is still not clear, though. Allie Lynch joins us now with details on the bizarre plan.
Well, Neil, good morning. Yes, truly bizarre is right. So this morning, we're learning the suspect, Skylar Philippi, was inspired by past power grid attacks. His plan was to fly a drone into the electric substation with explosives attached to it. However, the 24-year-old had been working with undercover federal agents the entire time. The Murray County man believed if 8 or more power stations were attacked, it would cripple the United States power supply altogether. The FBI says Phillippe claimed he studied previous power grid attacks, including one in North Carolina and another in California. The 2022 attack on the Moore County, North Carolina substation left around 45,000 customers in the dark for several days. Phillippe also provided the undercover officials with excerpts of his so-called manifesto, which focused heavily on preserving the white race. And on Saturday, Phillippe and undercover agents drove to his intended Nashville launch site and prepared to fly the drone. Agents arrested him shortly after arriving at that site. He is expected to make his first court appearance next Thursday, November 13th.
Adam Coy, the former Columbus police officer accused of the murder and the death of Andre Hill in 2020, has been found guilty. Coy, who is white, shot Hill, an unarmed black man, 4 times in a garage. Nearly 4 years ago, he told jurors he thought Hill's illuminated cell phone was a silver revolver. Here's part of the verdict that just went down.
As to count 1, we, the jury, being duly empowered and sworn, do find the defendant, Adam Coy, guilty of murder as he stands charged in count 1 of the indictment, signed this 4th day of November 2024, and what appeared to be 12 signatures.
All right, for more, let's bring in our legal contributor and attorney, Brian Buckmeyer. All right, first of all, let's just start with the verdict. Your thoughts?
Kira, it made sense in many regards. I think this was a case that many people have looked at and said, this isn't a case where there is violence toward the officers. There isn't a case where there's any kind of confusion as to whether or not he was armed. This was a person who I think, according to the facts, was trying to drop off Christmas money to a friend who lived in that neighborhood. And through some confusion between officer and the victim, he was shot and killed. So I think the question of whether or not this was justified seemed to be relatively easy for the jury with a unanimous verdict.
So what happens next?
So next is sentencing. I believe it's on November 25th, where the defendant now faces life without the possibility of parole. There will be some form of a probation officer interviewing him, giving the background that we've typically heard of an officer with a decent or bad record, whatever it may be, and why he should get a lesser sentence than the maximum, where both sides are going to argue for what they believe justice is when it comes to a sentence.
All right, our Brian Buckmeyer. Appreciate it, Brian. Thank you so much.
¿Qué terrible quieren más pruebas? Mira que crecía, papá, mira que crecía. ¿Tú crees que esto es normal? Mira, mira la calle del médico. Mira la calle cómo va para abajo, de agua. María, la furgoneta baja por ahí. Mira, la tenemos librado. Mamma mía, la crecía como viene.
All right, let's head over to Metairie this morning. So as you head throughout the rest of the day, the morning is fine. The morning's good, but it's once you get to the afternoon, you could run into some showers. And for everyone, it's not going to be a washout. Just know, you might want to bring the rain gear with you depending on what time you're heading to the polls. Let's get to the tropics. Still talking about Tropical Storm Rafael. For you right now, 13 miles per hour is what it's moving at. Wind speed 60 miles per hour, still expected to become a Category 1 hurricane. That continues on into the Gulf of Mexico. By the time it gets to the central portion of the Gulf of Mexico, it's going to lose some of its strength. There's Several factors playing into all of this, how it's going to fall apart. So we do have the Bermuda high that's steering this, but we also are looking at a trough that could also play into a factor about where this goes. But one thing is for sure is that by the time it does get deeper into the Gulf of Mexico, it's going to weaken. So plenty of warm water to work with as it's going on up, but then we're working with some shear, some dry air, and then also those cooler water temperatures. That's going to significantly weaken this thing. All right, so let's talk about Tropical Storm Rafael, the spaghetti plots. It's all over the place as of right now, but I'm expecting this to become a little more uniform as we get deeper into the week. But models still taking it different directions as of right now. So let me show you one of them. Here's the European model. You can still see the formation happening, but look what happens as we get into Thursday, into Friday. This one's still kind of wanting to take it on off to the west. That's one model, and we could see some rain with that. And then the other model, though, taking it in the opposite direction of where that one was showing. This one also still going to see that same formation happening, but with this, it looks like it's going to be a little closer to us. But look what happens to it by the time it gets here. It doesn't even really hold together that well. So a lot of that wind shear may be blowing that apart. So we'll just have to wait and see. But that's a big question mark for us about what could we possibly see, what type of impacts we could see for us. Wind shear, as I mentioned, that will be a big impact on us, so stay tuned for that. Again, as we get closer to the weekend, that's when we'll have a better idea of what our impacts could be. Live radar right now showing just a few showers. We do have a few showers, though, hanging around Tangipahoa and Washington parishes right now, really on the light side, so that's some good news as you head throughout the rest of the day, though. You'll see those scattered showers on and off. Here's a look at the rest of your WDSU first warning 7-day forecast. More 80s, but then after the weekend, those rain chances could go up. That all depends on what happens with Rafael.
Economy, abortion, immigration, the war in Gaza, all of these are key issues in this presidential battle. But right before Election Day, a new unlikely flashpoint has emerged. The death of a squirrel named Peanut. How did he die? Why is his death an election issue? And why do the Republicans say that they want justice? Let's start with Peanut's story. It begins around 7 years ago. His mother got hit by a car in New York City. She died. That's when a man named Mark Longo found him. He saw the accident, so he initially took in Peanut. It was supposed to be a temporary move. Mark cared for him like his own pet. This continued for about 8 months. After that, Mark released the squirrel. He thought Peanut was well enough to survive outdoors. But that did not last very long. Peanut apparently lacked survival skills. So he returned. Mark took him in again, and Peanut lived happily as an indoor squirrel. So the story goes. Soon the two started making videos. Peanut eating waffles, Peanut running around the house, Peanut dressed in hats. The internet loved the squirrel. And in no time, Peanut became viral. Right now, his Instagram has more than 670,000 followers. 670,000 followers for a squirrel. All was going well for both of them until last week. On October 30th, New York's DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation, raided Mark Longo's house. 6 officers showed up. They were acting on multiple anonymous complaints. It was about unsafe housing of wildlife. So they seized Peanut the squirrel. They also took a raccoon named Fred. Now, in New York, you cannot keep a wild animal without a license, so the arrest was legal. Even Mark Longo knew that. But he decided to fight it. He hired a legal team to get them back. He also gathered more than 20,000 signatures, all asking for the return of the animals. But by November 1st, it was all in vain. The DEC announced that they had euthanized both Peanut and Fred. Why? Because of the fear of rabies. According to them, Peanut bit someone in the department, so they had to test for rabies. Living animals cannot be tested for the disease, so they had to be euthanized. Mark Longo expressed his grief. He said the DEC was cruel. He accused the agency of excessive force. The story should have ended there. But then, the Republicans took note. And that's where the issue exploded. Peanut's death was not about public safety anymore. It was about democratic overreach. It turned into a symbol of government interference. Republicans chimed in on the injustice. Leading the cause was Tesla CEO Elon Musk. He posted several times about this incident, calling the government a quote-unquote killing machine. And it did not stop there. The Trump campaign then joined in.
So I know Don's fired up about Peanut the squirrel. We were on the way down here from Cincinnati. He was like, is it really the case that the Democrats murdered the Elon Musk of squirrels? And I said, yeah, it sounds like, have you seen the videos of this squirrel? Yeah. He's a genius, or he was.
This is not the first time animals have featured in the presidential race, or this presidential race. In September, a video from Ohio's Springfield went viral. It claimed that immigrants killed ducks from the local park for food. Springfield police dismissed these rumors, but the Republicans went to town with it, portraying Donald Trump as the Messiah with AI-generated images of him on top of a cat, and even one where he's surrounded by ducks. Again, the message was simple. Immigrants did not just steal American jobs, they also stole America's pets. And Donald Trump would save them. So cats and dogs became a flashpoint back then, and now a squirrel is the headliner. It tells you what you need to know about American politics, really. Forget inflation, healthcare, or even foreign policy. This election has gone to the dogs, then cats and ducks, and now even squirrels. Washington is all set for a presidential battle like no other.
In less than 90 days, it's either going to be him or me sitting in the Oval Office.
Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump.
All we want is one simple thing. Get out on Tuesday.
A vice president versus a former president. As we head towards election night, Vantage will be live from the heart of the action. Speaking to voters in this final stretch.
I'm still very undecided.
Very close presidential race.
Tracking the campaigns as they make the last push. From exclusive ground reports to in-depth analysis, this is your one-stop destination for the presidential race. Join us on this special edition of Vantage, live from the White House in Washington, D.C.
On the final day of their respective presidential campaigns, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris both predicted victory on Monday, with opinion polls showing them locked in a dead heat. The candidates concentrated their efforts in Pennsylvania, the biggest prize on Election Day among the 7 states expected to decide the outcome. Trump appeared before a large crowd in Pittsburgh, where he delivered what his campaign called his closing message to voters.
I will restore peace in the world, and I will rescue the American dream.
Trump pushed economic themes, vowing to deliver an economic boom while warning Harris would bring economic misery.
My message to Americans tonight is simple. We do not have to live this way. We don't.
Trump's frantic Monday schedule also included stops in the battleground states of North Carolina and Michigan before returning to his Florida home Monday night. Meanwhile, Harris packed in 5 campaign stops in Pennsylvania throughout the day. In Allentown, she appealed to the city's sizable Puerto Rican community after a comedian at a Trump rally last week made racist comments about Puerto Ricans and other minority groups.
We are not going back. We are not going back.
Later, Harris went door-knocking in Reading and held her own brief rally in Pittsburgh. Harris ended the day with an event in Philadelphia, where she was joined by A-list celebrities including Lady Gaga and Oprah Winfrey. Harris forecast a close race and for the last time implored Pennsylvanians to get out the vote.
The race ain't over yet, and we must finish strong, and this could be one of the closest races in history. Every single vote matters.
The Harris campaign says its internal data shows that undecided voters are breaking in their favor. It reports an increase in early voting among core parts of its coalition, including young voters and voters of color. Trump campaign officials meanwhile said they were monitoring early voting results that show more women have voted than men. That is significant considering Harris's 12-point edge over Trump among female registered voters, according to an October Reuters Ipsos poll. The winner may not be known for days after Tuesday's vote. Trump and his allies, who falsely claim his 2020 election loss was the result of fraud, have already signaled they will attempt to fight any defeat. They have spent months laying the groundwork to again challenge the result if he loses. Harris campaign officials said any attempts by Trump to allege fraud will fail, while Democrats say they have plans in place should Trump try to prematurely claim victory.
Hello, I'm Rob McKnight. As the US election nears its end, and possibly the beginning of legal challenges, celebrities are coming out in droves to support their preferred candidate. In this special edition of Inside Media, we take a look at the good and bad endorsements, but will they change anyone's vote? While there's no doubt Kamala Harris is Hollywood's candidate of choice, that could actually play against her. Look, I don't subscribe to the theory celebrities shouldn't share their political views because in a democracy, everyone has that right. But the A-list and the list of A-listers supporting Harris could be seen as elitist and off-putting. Donald Trump has an alternative set of celebrity endorsements that speaks to his base. Now, they haven't made flashy ads, but they have stood by their candidate, even when it gets them in trouble. Last year, a BBC interview with Kelsey Grammer was reportedly cut short after the Fraser actor voiced his support for Trump. Grammer's PR team weren't happy with his revelation, apparently. Hollywood PR types seem to believe supporting Harris is okay, but supporting Trump, well, that just shouldn't be talked about. And over the weekend, Harrison Ford released an ad for the Harris campaign, and this one was actually a cut above the rest.
I'm Harrison Ford, doing something I never thought I'd do. Telling people I've never met who I'm voting for and why I think they might do the same. This election, I'm casting my ballot for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Do I agree with every one of their policies? Of course not. Do I think they're perfect? Come on, for crying out loud, they're people just like you and me. But these two people believe in the rule of law. They believe in science. They believe that when you govern, you do so for all Americans. They believe that we are in this together. These are ideas I believe in. These are people I can get behind. Look, I'm frustrated about a lot of things in this country. I'm sure you are too. But the other guy, he spent 4 years turning us against each other while embracing dictators and tyrants around the world. That's not who we are. We don't need to make America great again. Come on, we are great. What we need is to work together again. What we need is a president who works for all of us again.
Ford comes across as very sincere and reluctant there. It's probably the only example of a celebrity endorsement where the celebrity doesn't actually want to be in the ad. Ford genuinely seems worried about his country and has decided it's time to speak up. Rob's rating? 5 out of 5. The Avengers video, however, seems try-hard and forced.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Avengers.
Hi.
Thanks
Hey,
for
Scarlett.
jumping on the call.
Whoa. I think you mean assembling. I said assembling. Don, that's pretty good. No, that was funny.
Scarlett, it is our pleasure to come together and to get the vote out this election. Come on.
Yeah, how can we be of service?
Well, how about we start with what our voting plans are going to be, who we're going to bring to the polls with us, that sort of thing.
I think Kamala Harris needs a catchphrase.
Ooh, yes.
The video, starring Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr. and a host of other Avengers, tries to be funny, but comes off, as the Daily Mail put it, excruciatingly awkward. Actors trying to be funny as themselves rarely works, but the best line comes from Paul Bettany, who plays Jarvis in the films.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I say, down with democracy.
I don't know if that sounds the way we want it to sound, though.
I think we just need, can we get some production, though?
Jarvis?
My name's not Jarvis, but whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I like that line, but sorry, Avengers, I don't need a lecture, thanks. Rob's rating? 1 out of 5. Dr. Phil, meanwhile, took to the stage at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally to support the former president. While Trump rallies have seen the likes of Hulk Hogan and Tucker Carlson, they've made headlines, Dr. Phil hit the right tone with the audience as he called out celebrity endorsements.
And the last thing he needs is some celebrity endorsement. What the hell do I know? I know I'm no celebrity to begin with. And celebrities don't know anything about policies or politics. So, only difference between me and them is I'm willing to admit it.
As I said before, I don't agree with that statement, but it does play very well to Trump supporters and reinforces the view of elite Hollywood trying to tell voters what to do. Rob's rating for Dr. Phil? 4 out of 5. Things that don't help Trump with centrist voters are comments like this one, though, from Mel Gibson, who said Harris has got the IQ of a fence post. Now, that plays to the perceived bullying nature of the right, though Democrats can't claim the moral high ground after President Biden called Trump supporters garbage.
And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Now, look, that remark was in response to insult comedian Tony Hinchcliffe's Puerto Rican garbage controversy. We spoke about that on the last edition of Inside Media. But in case you need a refresher.
You know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Biden's garbage comment in reaction to that joke hurt the Democrat campaign so much, the White House altered the transcript in what is being called a breach of protocol. Not a good look. Now, it's fair to say Harris has the biggest stars supporting her campaign. Comedy program Saturday Night Live nailed its colours to the wall with an appearance by Harris over the weekend. As Colin Jost noted in the Weekend Update sketch, well, next week the American people will decide if the next president will be Kamala Harris or if everyone at SNL will get audited. I give that joke a 5 out of 5. And that opening Harris skit, that was about a 3. Meanwhile, much has been made of the Bruce Springsteen video where the boss is sitting in an empty diner sprouting his views on why people should vote for Harris.
Donald Trump is the most dangerous candidate for president in my lifetime. His disdain for the sanctity of our Constitution, the sanctity of democracy, the sanctity of the rule of law, and the sanctity of the peaceful transfer of power should disqualify him from the office of president ever again.
He does spend almost 3 minutes pontificating over why Trump should never be president again and the positives of the Harris-Walz ticket. This one's for the diehards. Rob's rating, 2.5 out of 5. Will Ferrell, though, he manages to get his point across in 30 seconds with a very funny video in true Will Ferrell style.
This election is going to be one of the closest in history. Your vote will make the difference. That means you, Gary. Oh, blah, 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 I'm just one person. No, shut the up, Gary. Last time, only a few thousand votes kept Trump out of office. And this time, we will hold you personally responsible, Gary. Don't forget to vote, Gary.
Short, sharp, and makes a point. Rob's rating, 5 out of 5. Now, while I don't believe celebrity endorsements make a difference to people and how they'll vote, or at least I hope they don't, there's no doubt celebrities get attention for their chosen candidate. Beyoncé made plenty of headlines by attending a Harris event recently, but most people came away upset that she didn't sing. In 2018, Taylor Swift endorsed Democratic candidate Phil Bredesen in Tennessee, but he was soundly beaten. Ricky Gervais said it best recently in a video he made in his bathtub.
Hi guys, Ricky G here, wellness and beauty influencer. As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, it's like a hate crime. It makes me sad and angry, and I'll leave the country. And you don't want
that. And that is the best political ad of them all. 10 out of 5. The US presidential election results will start coming in Wednesday morning Australian time. It's going to be fascinating viewing to see how America votes. You can watch live on Channel 7 or 7+. And that's it for this edition of Inside Media. I'll be back on Thursday. Should be a wild one. Maybe we'll look at the election. You can find me at 7news.com.au at around 5 p.m. I'm Rob McKnight. I hope to see you then. Good luck, America.